Ugly day, everyone. Very ugly day. We're under severe storm warning, and I'm about to give you the history of the day. 100 years ago today, the Nazi German paramilitary group, the Schutzstaffel, or well known as the SS, was founded. 50 years ago today, on April 4th, 1975, a Lockheed C-5A Galaxy participating in the first mission of Operation Baby Lift crashed on approach during an emergency landing at Tan Son Nhut Air Base, South Vietnam. The cause was ascribed to loss of flight control due to explosive decompression and structural failure. The accident marked the second operational loss and first fatal crash for the C-5 Galaxy fleet, and is the third deadliest accident involving a U.S. military aircraft after the 1968 Camduck C-130 shootdown and Arrow Air Flight 1285R. When Communist North Vietnam forces took control of most of South Vietnam in early April 1975, the U.S. government under President Ford started evacuating its citizens. American caregivers were paired with South Vietnamese orphans as part of Operation Baby Lift, which was approved by U.S. Ambassador to South Vietnam Graham Martin to prevent upsetting the host nation. The plane crashed near Tan Son Nhut Air Base, Saigon, South Vietnam due to explosive decompression because of improper maintenance, leading to an explosion of the cargo door, killing 138 passengers and crew on board. Among them were 78 children, 35 defense-attached office employees, and 11 U.S. Air Force personnel. Only 176 survived, along with the 3 pilots. All of the surviving orphans were eventually flown to the United States. The dead orphans were cremated and were interred at the cemetery of the St. Nicholas Catholic Church in Pattaya, Thailand. The accident would also stand as the single largest loss of life in the Defense Intelligence Agency's history until the 9/11 attacks, because among the crash fatalities were 5 DIA employees. The U.S. Air Force paid a bounty for parts from the wreckage to recover them from the local population, but the investigation was complicated because many of the components were stolen from the crash site. To find the flight data recorder in the South China Sea, the U.S. Navy sent the command ship USS Blue Ridge, the frigate USS Reasoner, the amphibious cargo ship USS Durham, the fleet tug USS Abenaki, and the rescue salvage USS Deliver. The USS Abenaki and USS Deliver recovered the rear hatch and flight recorder, and helicopters in the South China Sea also found the body of a C-5 crew member and wreckage from the doors. Investigations revealed that some of the locks had not engaged correctly when the rear doors were eventually recovered from the sea. According to maintenance records, locks had been improperly refitted after being cannibalized for spare parts, which severely reduced their performance. According to accounts, the aircraft was unable to fly after the initial maintenance inspection revealed that 5 of the 7 locks were not working. A second off-shift maintenance crew was brought in due to organizational pressure from outside sources to get the flight airborne. The unairworthy aircraft was then cleared for flight after they failed to notice the locks during inspection. The flight crew also acknowledged that they had trouble shutting the doors before departure. The door failed because the few locks that were functioning properly could not support the weight as the air pressure differential increased with altitude. 26 days later, on April 30th, 1975, Saigon fell to the North Vietnamese and the Vietnam War was over. And that is something I will talk about 26 days later on the 30th of April, which will mark the 50th anniversary of the end of the war. Also that occurred that day is the founding of Microsoft. I'm not talking about April 30th, I'm talking about the 4th of April, which is on the day of the Vietnamese plane crash. Well, we're quite under a severe storm warning, and I will let you all know that I'm perfectly safe and pretty good. That is all I have for you today, and the history lessons I have for you, and I'll see you next time on the next history update. This is Stephen Luke, and I'll see you next time.